Trade secrets. Folks, you may say, well, gee, you know, we've been doing the same thing and we sell somebody else's equipment. We're not worried about trade secrets. Well, I guarantee you, if I go and sit down with each one of you, I'm going to find a trade secret. And one of those trade secrets is your customer list and your pricing list. And most of you are not going to share that information with your competitors. In fact, you go to jail if you do, by the way. But what happens is that your number one source of competition is probably not the companies already in existence. It's your current employees hanging out a shingle and going into competition with you. I've seen this over and over again. A lot of what I do today is working with my clients to protect them from their employees going into business, by the way. And I might, if I have time, I'll talk a little bit more about that. Or we'll do it in the question and answer session next. But one of the things that's important to appreciate is that you do have confidential information. And what's happening is, in America, this is becoming a really hot topic. The state of Texas has passed a trade secrets law. The federal government behind that has passed a somewhat similar trade secrets law in the last couple of years. The rules are very straightforward. If you have information that you don't want shared with anybody else, and you don't want your employees to take with them, you need to identify it as confidential or secret. It's not complicated. You can actually stamp it, you know, the big old confidential. You need to keep it in special files. If your office is run right, the rank and file should not be able to get to those files. There should be a place where you keep things under lock and key. At least 2 or 3 things ought to be there. Personnel records have Social Security numbers in them. Keep your Social Security record, anything that has Social Security numbers, any personnel records under lock and key all of the time. Not unlock while the office manager is there. A file that's locked all the time, and maybe 1 or 2 people have the key. In the old days, it used to be very common for managers to run in and just walk right into where the personnel records were, pull a file out and look up Billy Bob's home address and stuff like that. Really not recommended at the moment. We recommend, and I don't think it's going to change, I'm just saying that today we really need to be more aggressive about it. Also keep in mind, health records are separately protected under federal law, many state laws. Texas, again, which doesn't have a lot of employment laws, has a health secrecy law. Health records have to be kept private. And so one of the things we want you to be careful about is make sure those records are kept secure. If you have important contracts with your suppliers that have preferential pricing and all that, folks, that's trade secret, that's confidential information. So that all of this type of information should be kept secure. Double password system, so if you have a password just to get into your computer system, it doesn't give them access to e-copies of some of these records, because increasingly a lot of this stuff today is in e-records rather than in hard copies or both. So what you do, so on the first side is, let's be careful, let's be sure to treat confidential information as if it's important and confidential and needs to be protected. The second part of that is, every one of you should have your new employees sign a confidentiality non-disclosure agreement. There are tons on the internet. You can have your local attorney do this. This is a boilerplate document. But every single employee should have in their personnel file, which is under lock and key, a signed statement that says, I understand that there's confidential and trade secret information, and I may not disclose that information, and I may be legally in trouble if I disclose that information. Now, do we go out and routinely sue former employees? No, it's not necessarily a winning proposition. But what it does is it does 2 things. It puts you on good legal footing if you do need to go to court, number 1. Number 2, it has what we call, and pardon the legal term, a chilling effect. It cools them down a little bit, it slows them down, and that's what we lawyers call it. We call it the chilling effect, is the fact that they've signed the confidentiality agreement gives them a little cause to slow down a little bit, think a little bit before they take their price list and your customers and your contracts with your vendors and things like that. So this is the concept behind it, but it's very important, and again, it's getting more important because of the new federal law and the increasing number of state laws. And again, think about what you have. A lot of what you have is more sensitive than you realize, and it's become such common nature to you, you don't realize, gee, if Charlie leaves my business and goes down the street, he could do a lot of harm with that document or this document. So that's what we're talking about here. And I had a case, this guy was a bad actor. We had him do a sexual harassment complaint against a manager. That's really bad. He butt bumped a young Hispanic employee, and neither one was gay. And the young man was very offended that this older supervisor had butt bumped him. So it's down at the EEOC, and we're working the case, and it got settled cheaply. The young man wanted to go back to school, so he was looking for an opportunity to get a few dollars. Folks, we had a huge settlement in that case, $1,500. So we were happy to get rid of it. He was happy to go back to school, things. But now we've got a supervisor, so we warned him every which way but out that, you know, this kind of conduct was really inappropriate, and we did special training and so forth. Less than a year later, we find out that he's gone to one of the key suppliers of this service company, really big supplier, and said, I'm setting up my own company. I'd like you to make me a better deal than you're making with my current employer, and let's rock and roll. Well, of course, the next phone call, thank goodness, as I have good clients, was from that company to my company's owner saying, hey, here's what just happened. So this guy ended up on the street at that point, of course, did not end up taking that contract with him. But it underscores how these things can come down some days. But it was interesting because it's the same bad actor. Yeah, he was 0 for 2, and we did get him off the payroll, so that was a good thing. But it is important to be careful about trade secrets.